What's up, good people, and welcome back to YouTube from scratch. We are here on day 9 of uploading every day consistently, and today we want to talk about thumbnails. This is something that is starting to turn into a dark art for some people because they don't understand how thumbnails work. But today we're going to let you know exactly how thumbnails work and how you can use them effectively to grow your channel. And to start off, first off, I want to kind of explain why thumbnails work the way they do and kind of, the mechanics behind thumbnails. So the first thing is you have to understand this. Thumbnails are the first line of offense. And I know we've said this before on this channel. Thumbnails are the first line, your first line of offense to bringing people in and getting them interested about your content and your channel and subscribing and all of that stuff that goes along with YouTube growth. The first thing you have that really brings people in is your thumbnail and obviously your title. So when people search for specific titles on YouTube, or they, discover your channel in their feed by YouTube recommending your content, the first thing they're going to see is that thumbnail. So it's really important that you nail down something that can attract people's attention and get people to click, and then kind of, tell what the video is going to actually be about. And those two things are very important because one, so if they don't click on the thumbnail, they're never going to see your video. And the second thing is actually describing what your video is about. And I'm going to tell you why that's very important. So a lot of times people will have clickbait type thumbnails where, they're just doing things that are, easy to get clicks. When we all know these tactics, we all know that, sex sells and a lot of other things sell instantly. So, when people are seeing things like that, they automatically click on them. But if those things are not describing exactly what's in your video, there's a high probability that people are going to click off of the video once they get into the content and discover that, hey, the thumbnail didn't quite represent what I'm seeing here. So, it's very positive, or it's a very good thing if you try to make sure that, yes, you are getting the click with your thumbnail, but you're also providing kind of an insight as to what people are going to actually see in your video. Now, this becomes a challenge because everyone is not photogenic in what they're doing. So this becomes a challenge when, say, you're the person that's going to be presenting the content and you do not, really carry yourself photogenically in photographs, or you're not feeling as confident about yourself photogenically in photographs, but you do have value to deliver to, a potential audience from an in-person standpoint. So it becomes a challenge because people resonate with what they see, and it's just a fact. So it's a very slippery slope, so to speak, to really find that balance between how can I present myself in a thumbnail in a way that's going to make people click and bring attention to, my channel, but also, really represent what I'm talking about in the video. So, that's one of the key pieces of magic to YouTube, is that when you can really solve that equation of, creating a thumbnail that really represents those two things and those two worlds, oh man, it's like instant growth, because then, as your content or as your videos get pushed out, they instantly get clicked. And when people start watching the videos, they instantly resonate with what you're delivering, because they see that same thing that made them click in the thumbnail in the first place. And all you have to do then is create a really good video and a compelling video around whatever that topic is. So how do we do that? How do we, create thumbnails that are going to do those two things? I think the best thing to do is, the first thing is to really look at what is resonating with people. And we've said this before and we'll keep saying it. Definitely go out on YouTube and look at other content that, has thumbnails in the space that you're trying to get in, or the niche that you're trying to get in, that are resonating. So you'll see from other creators things that have worked. And that's a great thing about, being in the YouTube space, is that you can always find a reference that will give you insight into, where to go, or some things that will help you in your journey to get to that place. So definitely use that. Never feel like, I don't want to, look at anybody else because I don't want to, take from anything else. No, that is not what you're doing. You're just doing research. Make sure you do your research so that you know where you fall and, how far off or how close to the mark you are. because sometimes it may just be a couple tweaks that you need to do to your content or your thumbnails to get to that point. It's as simple as, you may be using the wrong colors in your background, or you may be using the wrong lighting and things like that. And things that are correctable and may be correctable in a short amount of time or just with simple tweaks. You want to know that. And a good way to know that is by looking at other things that are working. Now, once you do find things that are working, there are a lot of tools out there in the market that'll help you, put those things together. I often use Photoshop. A lot of people use Canva. There are a lot of other free tools like Canva out there that you can do searches on and kind of, dive in. And it's best to kind of get your hands and feet wet or get your hands dirty using those things yourself and not really, depend on just the thought or the notion that somebody's sharing with you about them. But, there are a lot of free tools, so you can use them and use them for a little while and see what works for you. But, they all kind of come up with the end result, and now they all can produce the same end result at the end of the day. So just finding what works for you and what you're able to use easily is a good thing. So from that point, so you have the knowledge of, what is working, and now you have the tools to create them. The next thing is just to start using those things and also do some A and B testing of what thumbnails work best in what scenarios. Now, a good tool to use to do that in is TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a great tool because it offers an actual A and B testing functionality inside of TubeBuddy that will allow you to test your thumbnails like for a period of time. You can test one thumbnail out, and then for another period of time, right as you're posting, you can test out your different thumbnails to see which one is working best. So I would advise to at some point try those things out so that kind of what things are working, and you can kind of see that in a siloed and granular way in one particular post or across multiple posts to get a real good idea of, hey, this is the type of thumbnail that is working for my content. Maybe I should start using this more regularly. Once you're doing that A and B testing of thumbnails, really dive deep into your analytics to see, what is getting a higher click-through rate, and also what is getting a higher, watch time or view duration to see, how those things are gelling together with your content. So this is a really important thing to do. One of the really important key things to do for growth. And I know, like I said in the beginning, I know it can kind of become kind of a dark art for people because, you see thumbnails, you see so many thumbnails and you say, well, why is this one working and this one is not working? And, sometimes it really depends on the niche and the type of content that people are presenting. And, just because one person is able to do one particular thing, it may not work for another audience too, because audience sizes and audience subscriber base may be different. They may be resonating with the person. So just seeing the person, they've already gotten to a point where they're representing or they're resonating with a specific person. They're resonating with a specific person, and they don't really care as much about anything else or, the wow factor that is coming with the thumbnail. So a lot of times people, have channels that have reached that point in their development, and new content creators will look at that and say, well, why can't I just do a simple thumbnail of me just sitting, or me just kind of laying down, or me just doing all these simple things. And the reason is that your channel probably hasn't reached a level where you have a huge subscriber base that just buys into you. And that's something you really need to understand, that, getting to that point where your channel reaches a subscriber base to where your subscribers buy into you and your likeness, that's a whole different level of, understanding, and a whole different level of, why your viewers are watching your content. Because, once you get to that point, then yes, it makes sense to just put yourself and your likeness in every thumbnail, because that's what your likeness is, what they're coming there for. Is like they know that likeness, and they're going to be apt to click just because it's you. But for those people who are just starting out, you may want to, try other things that, may bring in clicks a little bit easier, from an emotional standpoint, and from, just an excitement standpoint, things that might not, just resonate with your existing customers, but will also resonate with people that you're trying to attract to your channel. You might want to do that when first starting out, because you're at a point where people really don't know who you are. So those are the things I wanted to tell you guys about today, because those are really important things that if you nail them and you nail them soon, your channel will grow exponentially very, very quickly. I hope this was helpful to someone, and we'll see you in the next one.